Hello everyone, my name is Whitney and today I will be walking you through your first STEM career lesson. It will be over aerospace engineering. This is a really exciting topic and at the end you will be able to send your own postcard into space to be able to keep forever. Aerospace engineering is a branch of engineering that has a huge impact on the world around us, from spacecrafts to aircrafts. All of these complex systems involve complicated design and creativity from those who create them. It involves designing, building, thinking outside the box, and it comes with making things from jets, helicopters, spaceships, to the International Space Station, and even the Hubble telescope that we'll discuss. If you're a student who loves outer space or loves planes, this may be the field for you. But what truly is aerospace engineering? And how do I even begin to know what to do to become one? The article listed below is an awesome one for you to look at in your own free time. It tells you everything you could possibly know if you're interested in aerospace. The first thing you may think is, well, is this a rocket scientist? Because I want to be a rocket scientist and that sounds cool. Rocket scientists don't technically exist, but they could be considered the people who work on the propulsion systems in our aerospace projects. How do you become one? Well, it's pretty much synonymous with becoming an aerospace engineer. So, if you want to call yourself a rocket scientist and impress everybody, this is the time to pay attention. There are two main branches of aerospace engineering shown here. Both of these awesome fields overlap in not only the skills they require, but the training that you need to work in them. Most students, whether you want to be an aeronautical engineer or an astronautical engineer, are taught the same classes by the same professors. But what are the differences of these two subfields? Well, let's dive right in. Aeronautical means anything related to building or flying aircrafts and was first used in the 1780s. When hot air balloons were being used. Aeronautical engineers work on building aircrafts that fly within the Earth's atmosphere, basically where there is still gravity. They can work on military planes, commercial and passenger jets, which I'm sure many of you have been on, helicopters, blimps, and even drones or missiles. On the other hand, astronautical engineers deal with crafts that leave the Earth's atmosphere. The outer space environment is very difficult to maneuver and takes an expertise. They can work on satellites, missiles, spaceships, telescopes like the Hubble telescope, space vehicles, and even the International Space Station. These engineers do have some additional tasks that they have to learn in school, such as orbital mechanics, rocket propulsion, and space navigation. The word astronautical was coined in the 1920s and relates to going to outer space. Astro actually means star in Greek, so these engineers are literally navigating the stars. Now let's talk a little bit about the history of aerospace engineering. Abbas ibn Firnas was one of the first aerospace engineers living in the 9th century. He was the first person to actually study flight, and at the same time, he was also a physician, a poet, and a musician. He became inspired when Armin Fearman, one of his friends, tried to fly in a homemade flying machine and jumped off a cliff. Although it did not fly, his flying machine did act as a parachute, and when Abbas saw this, he went on to study flight for the next 20 years. He actually created his own design with movable wings and flew for about 10 minutes. Unfortunately, he injured himself on the way down. The first flight was actually in 1783 in an aircraft made by the Montgolfier brothers. It was a hot air balloon and the ride lasted for about 25 minutes. There were no steering capabilities. The first airplane was, as you guys might have guessed it, by the Wright brothers. In 1903, they created the very first motor-powered aircraft in history, and they flew it and landed it. They flew for about 59 seconds and made it to 852 feet in the air. President Roosevelt then commissioned them to build an airplane for the United States Army. There are a few other people in aerospace engineering history that you may not know about. Robert Goddard pioneered the field of missile and space flight. He published A Method of Reaching Extreme Altitudes in the Smithsonian Miscellaneous Collection. In 1926, he actually launched his first liquid-propelled rocket. The picture on the right shows you this rocket that he created. Next, Sir George Cayley. He first was the real pioneer of aeronautics engineering. In 1799, he created a drawing of an airplane that had fixed wings and a tail surface to allow for control. He did many experiments with bird wings and examining how the hollow bones of a bird allowed them to fly. Wernher von Braun. He made the V-2 rocket, which traveled at 3,500 miles per hour during the Second World War. He later made ballistic missiles for the U.S. Army, and he created the Redstone rocket, which was used for a crew in flight. Kalpana Chawla. Kalpana was born in India in 1961. She became the first woman of Indian heritage to go to space on the STS-87 Columbia. She attended the Punjab Engineering School and joined NASA in 1988. The nature of aerospace engineering jobs varies significantly. Some engineers spend a great deal of their time sitting in front of a computer, employing different models and simulations to be able to create the real machines that we see in our lives. Others may work in the field, actually testing models such as aircrafts or rockets, maybe even working in air tunnels for simulation. They can also be involved in assessing different project proposals to decide what should be created, calculating risk of these creations, and developing manufacturing processes. Two of the famous aerospace engineers that many of us know about, we will talk about today. One of them is Elon Musk. He was born in South Africa, but became one of the founders of PayPal in the late 90s. He also founded SpaceX in 2002 and joined Tesla Motors in 2004. He is not a traditional aerospace engineer because he has a degree in physics and economics. His PhD, though, is in applied physics and material sciences. Important things he did was he launched Demo 2, the first manned flight by a private company, and docked it at the International Space Station, or the ISS. Secondly, in 2015, he began Starlink, which is a constellation of low Earth orbit satellites that will be able to provide internet access to more people. Second, and maybe the more well-known of the two, is Neil Armstrong, an American astronaut and aeronautical engineer. He was the first person to land on the moon. He was also a pilot, a naval aviator, and a professor. He joined NASA in 1962 and did his first flight on the Gemini 8 in 1966. In the Apollo 11 flight, he had to actually eject from the spacecraft moments before it crashed. Finally, in 1969, after landing on the moon in the lunar module Eagle spacecraft, he walked on the moon for 2.5 hours and said the iconic words, "That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind." Now, many of you may be wondering about NASA. So NASA was founded in 1958 by the United States due to tensions during the Cold War. 3 of the impactful projects that they worked on were Project Mercury, which was to see if humans could survive in space, Project Gemini, which created a spacecraft for 2 people to prepare for going to the moon, and Project Apollo in 1969, when we did successfully land men on the moon. 2 other important parts of NASA are the International Space Station, often called the ISS, and the Hubble Space Telescope. The International Space Station is a modular space station in low Earth orbit. It is a multinational collaborative project between 5 participating space agencies from the US, Russia, Japan, Europe, and Canada. The station serves as a microgravity and space environment research laboratory. Here, scientists can perform scientific research in a variety of fields, including astrobiology, astronomy, meteorology, physics, medicine, and many more. It is able to orbit Earth in roughly 93 minutes, completing 15.5 orbits per day. The first ISS component was launched into space in 1998, and the first long-term resident arrived in November 2, 2000. Since then, the station has been continuously occupied for almost 20 years. The Hubble Space Telescope is a space telescope that was launched into low Earth orbit in the 1990s and remains in operation to this day. Many of you have probably seen pictures taken by the Hubble telescope. Although it was not the first space telescope, it is one of the largest and most versatile, and is well known for being both vital as a research tool and as a public relations tool for astronomy. High-resolution images with substantially lower background light than any ground-based telescope could achieve are what the Hubble telescope is known for. If you haven't seen some of the pictures that it's taken of our galaxy, you should look that up. In addition, now many private companies are also exploring space. Some of the well-known ones that you may hear of on the news are Blue Origin, SpaceX, Virgin Galactic, and Scaled Composites. However, there are even more than just these 4. Here's a brief overview, and then we will dive more in depth. Just as a recap, aerospace engineers design, build, and test aircrafts, missiles, and spacecrafts. They carry out basic and applied research, test new equipment and materials, and recommend improvements and techniques. Aerospace engineers commonly work on national defense projects and may require high security clearance for these projects. Some quick facts. The salary is an average about $109,000. This does vary by state, and we will talk about Texas specifically at the end. The education is a minimum of a bachelor's or a degree in aerospace engineering specifically. Some of the skills you need are innovation and problem solving, as well as communication, and some of the other skills that you'll have to learn through school are physics, math, and earth sciences. Now let's go more in depth. Are you ready? Some of the skills listed online that you need to be an aerospace engineer are from these broad categories. Analytical skills, which is the ability to deconstruct information into smaller categories in order to draw a final conclusion. Critical thinking skills, which is the analysis of facts to form a judgment that's unbiased. Business skills, math skills, problem-solving skills, and finally, even writing skills. There are many different types of career in aerospace. There's a variety of different career opportunities, including software development, marketing, management, sales, teaching, research, design and development, and finally, field service. These different career opportunities are based in a variety of disciplines that make up aerospace engineering as a whole. Our interview for aerospace engineering is with a propulsion analyst, Austin Spagnolo. Other areas are aerodynamics, thermodynamics, combustion, navigation, statistics, computer programming, which we will also talk to a computer programmer later in this course, engineering, and many more. There is an estimated 6% growth that will occur from 2016 to 2026, meaning lots of new jobs available and open to all of you when you graduate. Individuals who graduate with an aerospace degree often make more than the typical graduate by 45%, So pursuing a degree in this field is not only rewarding, but offers potentially higher earnings for yourself and your families. At this point, you may be asking, well, what do I need to be good at or do to be able to do this career? Aerospace engineers have a solid background in both math and science. Flying machines and everything else up in the sky is governed by the laws of physics. So all of these engineers need to have a firm basis and understanding of this. They also need to understand material sciences. But that's something you'll learn more about in college. The requirements to become an aerospace engineer is to have a bachelor's degree, which means you need to go to a 4-year university or to community college for 2 years and then 2 years at a college as well. The core courses will include lots of different things such as chemistry, mechanics, electromagnetism. But what can you do in high school to help set you up? Well, you can do good in your math and science classes, particularly in physics. There are a lot of schools in Texas that actually excel throughout the world in aerospace engineering, and 2 of those are UT Austin and Texas A&M. In addition, as you see up in the right corner, these Greek letters stand for Sigma Gamma Tau. It's an honor society for aerospace engineers. And if you enter into this organization, it means you've been invited and you've done outstanding in your aerospace engineering work. You can be invited both in your undergraduate or graduate careers. Once you graduate, you can get right into aerospace engineering, but the education and training never stops. As you've seen throughout your lifetime, technology strides and the industry keeps changing and advancing. However, this doesn't mean you have to keep taking college classes for the rest of your life. Many of the aerospace companies actually offer on-site courses or different educational opportunities that create a fun learning environment for their staff. There are over 70,000 jobs in aerospace engineering today. These can be in companies such as Boeing and Aircrafts, all the way to Blue Origin that's working on spacecrafts. The largest group of these jobs is in aerospace product and part manufacturing. The rest are shown here in this table: federal government work, engineering services, navigation, and research and development. How would you like to be designing your own spacecraft that you could see on Mars someday? The average salary is listed here for Texas. Texas is actually one of the top 5 most paying states in the entire United States. So a great place to work and start getting involved. I hope you've enjoyed your journey with us so far. This is just the first STEM career we'll be talking about. Some other similar careers that have some overlapping skills are mechanical engineering, industrial, materials, electrical, and computer hardware. Some of these we will actually be specifically talking about in later lessons. Please reach out to your science and math teachers if you have any questions or want more information on these careers. Now, we'll be moving on to discuss an activity that you can do that will let you know how this career is for you. For this week, we have a really exciting activity. To learn more about Austin Spagnolo, our propulsion analyst that we discussed in our interview, who suggested this, check out our interview portion. So, today we'll be talking about sending a postcard to space, a project put on by Blue Origin. All right, well, let's talk a moment about Blue Origin and how they send postcards to space. I'll read you what they have to say. Hi, I'm Nick Patrick. After my career as a NASA astronaut, I came to Blue Origin to work as a human integration architect, which means I help develop systems that will be used someday when millions of people living and working in space are benefiting Earth. The New Shepard is one of their aircrafts. It is named after Alan Shepard, the first American in space. This is Blue Origin's fully reusable suborbital rocket system. designed to take astronauts and research payloads past the Kármán line, the internationally recognized boundary of space, and back to Earth. New Glenn, named after John Glenn, the first American to orbit Earth. New Glenn is Blue Origin's heavy lift launch vehicle designed for carrying people and large payloads routinely to Earth, orbit, and beyond. And finally, Blue Moon, Blue Origin's lunar lander, will deliver large payloads to the lunar surface and is also capable of deploying payloads during its journey to the moon. Its engines, precision guidance, and vertical takeoff and landing capabilities build on New Shepard's technology. The link below lets you watch a video designed by Blue Origin to tell you why Earth needs space and why what they're doing is important. But let's get to the real important thing. How do you send a postcard to space and then get to keep it forever? So let's go through the instructions for the postcard. They're asking, what would you invent in space? Your mission is to sketch a prototype of a new technology that could be used to meet the needs of millions of people living and working in space. Once you've developed your idea, cut out the postcard below and draw your idea on the blank side along with the copy. Put your address and a stamp on the front and put it in an envelope and mail it to the following address. Blue Origin will send it to space and back on its New Shepard rocket. The postcard will then get stamped as flown to space, and then you will get to keep it as a keepsake. Your teachers will be able to give you the link to find this postcard. If you need it to find yourself, it's at www.clubforfuture.org. It is also referenced in our interview video. Today you learned about aerospace engineering and how to send your very own postcard to space to get to keep forever. This is just one of the 20 awesome and fun STEM careers we will be talking about. Stay tuned to learn more ways that you can expand your future and your horizons, even if it's navigating through the stars. All right, students. Thank you for joining us today to discuss aerospace engineering. And don't forget, this link for your survey for aerospace engineering will be here and also in the bio. You have to fill out 80% of the 2-minute surveys to receive your certificate and a chance to win a ticket to the Perot Museum. We look forward to seeing you next time, and we can't wait to share more awesome and fun careers with you in the future.